Guys, I promise you, I'm not trying to stress you out with these loot warning videos, but there are some weapons that are going away next season. Mentioned in the most recent TWAB, the entire rule loot pool is being replaced. Not only that, we have weapons like trial weapons, igneous hammer, solar scar, iron bender weapons, most notably Multimach, and of course the nightfall weapons that are also going to be going away next season. Today, guys, I want to just kind of narrow down the weapons that to me feel very unique. And the only way I would actually replace these weapons is if I actually came across something substantially better. But as you go about cleaning your vault, I just want you to remember some of the names that we're mentioning today and just kind of look to see, okay, is this a role I should keep as a just in case next season in Witch Queen? So let's start with weapon number 1, Annual Skate. Look, you either love this hand cannon or you hate it. Personally, it's my favorite. A lot of people think I'm trolling, but Annual Skate with the right roll is fantastic. You can get it from the gunsmith, although I did turn in over 50,000 gunsmith materials and did not receive the god roll that I wanted. Now, if you're wondering what the god roll is for Annual Skate, it's simple, guys. Max range surplus with timed payload. I know there's other options here. Opening shot's pretty good. Slide shot combos are right. But again, the god roll, the one that you need to keep an eye out for, and if you happen to get it, you need to keep it, is that surplus timed payload roll. Another weapon that's also part of the roll loot pool is Shepherd's Watch. Now, no one's really talking about Shepherd's Watch being a go-to sniper rifle, but no lie, this sniper rifle is actually good for PvE. I really don't understand why its ratings are so terrible. It's a kinetic sniper rifle. It's in the adaptive archetype. It comes with perks like Frenzy, Outlaw, Firing Line, which that's personally the role that I use in Grandmaster Nightfalls. I use a Firing Line Outlaw role. And even though Eye of Soul has been my baby for so long, at the end of the day, Eye of Soul is still stuck at 15% with Vorpal, whereas Firing Line gives us 20% more damage. And as far as PvP goes, Snapshot Moving Target is also an excellent role to go for, or even a Snapshot No Distractions role. Now, the actual god role that I was personally looking for PvP was Under Pressure in Snapshot. Under Pressure essentially gives us accuracy on the bottom half of that magazine, and considering it's not of Crucible, you only have 2 rounds in the mag, voila, you've got bonus accuracy at all times. Unfortunately, I have yet to land that god roll. Moving on to weapon number 3, Truth Teller. How many times do we pull out a Truth Teller, both for PvP and for PvE? Guys, Truth Teller has so much utility. It can roll things like blinding grenades, auto-loading holster, and demolitionist. Inside of PvP, I actually love to rock a disruption break roll with auto-loading holster proxy. You do that combination with last word, it is absolutely disgusting. Yes, disruption break also works inside of PvP. Now, I know blinding grenades and concussion grenades are getting a slight nerf, but that's mainly in its damage. Its overall utility, what it's meant to do, its stunning capabilities and blinding capabilities is still going to be invaluable in in-game PvE content. So guys, get it. Now, our next weapon is actually a fusion rifle called Cartesian Coordinate, but you can purchase it from Banshee. It's also present in a number of different Ingrams and can even be focused through the Shock Trooper legendary Ingram there in the helm. Cartesian Coordinate, being in that rapid fire frame archetype, having the ability to slot with traits like Vorpal and Feeding Frenzy. It was fantastic this past season and damage phases. Now, I still think Cartesian is still going to be a great choice for DPS, and I think it's still worth keeping. I know there's other fusion rifles out there that I prefer when it comes to ad clear. I've got that slide shot Reservoir Burst Glacial Chasm, which I love. But in terms of DPS, just purely output, Cartesian Coordinate has them all beat. It beats out No Composure, Plug, even Plug with Cornered, Glacial Chasm, even Glacial Chasm with Reservoir Burst. It beats them all out. Now, another weapon to look out for is, of course, Main Ingredient. That's right. You've probably seen this weapon rise in the meta here recently, and for good reason. Main Ingredient is good. Now, a huge reason why it's risen in the meta, and yes, this weapon is part of the legendary loot pool, and Xur does occasionally sell it, is because a god roll was actually sold here recently. Now, it's going to be nerfed. Tap the trigger won't be the go-to option for it as much as it is now. I think it's still going to be a decent option, but for me, there's still fantastic options to go for. You've got Rangefinder, Firmly Planted, Rangefinder Under Pressure. And if you're worried about missing out on the stability bump that Tap the Trigger used to give once it's actually nerfed next season, offset it, guys. Rock Particle Repeater. This is a great way to offset the lack of stability that Tap the Trigger granted. Again, I don't think Tap the Trigger is going to be a terrible trait either way, but there's a lot of different routes you can still go with on Main Ingredient, and I still think it's a fantastic fusion rifle, if not the best fusion for PvP. Now, the next weapon on our list is honestly the most underrated weapon this past season. I actually get upset seeing how few people actually give this scout rifle a go, and that is actually the 260 round per minute energy scout rifle Contingency Plan. Now, another weapon that is also part of the roll loot pool, Contingency Plan has a lot of great things going for it. Frenzy, one for all, kill clip, in combination with things like subsistence, outlaw, a lot of good PvE rolls, but inside of PvP is where the scout rifle really flexes itself. And you know what's crazy is that this archetype is not even really meta, but yet Contingency Plan is able to do so with rolls like surplus and kill clip, surplus and elemental capacitor. You can even get a no distractions roll, a kill clip tunnel vision roll, a firmly planted roll. Although I will say firmly planted is a little awkward on this gun, as this is not really a weapon that I sit up and I lane with. I'm normally running and gunning when using Contingency Plan. Either way though, this dead orbit scout rifle that's part of the roll loot pool is fantastic even still. And I highly advise guys, when cleaning out your vaults or when turning in those gunsmith materials, to be looking out for this scout rifle and keep a couple rolls. Now, a scout rifle that I left off on our previous list, we had made a list a few weeks ago going over guns to keep in regards to the upcoming seasonal weapon, and I immediately regretted it. That's actually Night Watch. Occasionally, Night Watch is actually being sold from either Xur or Banshee, and you can actually get a couple god rolls from them. You can also get it from the roll loot pool. But this 200 round per minute kinetic scout rifle is one of the nastiest scouts in the game inside of PvE, and it's even pretty good inside of PvP. But one of my favorite rolls is of course Outlaw rapid hits with explosive payload, which to me is the best option. But you even have other things like Demolitionist, of course, Rampage, multi-kill clip. Either way, next season we're looking at scout rifles to be our anti-barrier weapon, so locking in a well-rolled Night Watch should serve you well. Now, another weapon on this list is actually pulled from the weapons mentioned here recently that Bungie are going to be taking away, and that's actually the Multimach. Look, I've tried to use other SMGs in the kinetic slots, but the Multimach is just the best PvP kinetic SMG. It's got zoom modifying scopes, it's got a hell of a lot of range, and if you stack on even max range with things like Iron Reach and then counter it with dynamic sway, you've got a weapon that will still be stable enough for you, but with that Model 8 red scope with Aztecross rounds, that max range with Iron Reach, that right there is one of the nastiest rolls you can get on this gun. I know a lot of people want damage dealing perks, I get it, but for me, I just want this SMG to do what it does better than other SMGs, and that is to have the most reach and to maintain the most consistency. Multimach is one of those SMGs that really does break the mold. The only other SMG that can compare is, in my opinion, Shiora, and Shiora is the best energy SMG. So before Multimach goes away, guys, highly advise in this next Iron Banner going after it. Now, the last weapon on this list is of course Arsenic Bite. Now, I bring up Arsenic because if you actually go check with Xur or Banshee, oftentimes, especially Banshee, brings back some pretty decently rolled Arsenic Bites. I think a few weeks ago, Arsenic was also being sold, and it was a fantastic roll. You can roll things like Explosive Head with Rampage, with a number of string perks and arrow perks to drive that draw time down even further. But even if you wanted to go another route like Archer's Tempo and Rampage, you almost run into a situation, especially if you get that draw time down all the way to like 540, you could run into a situation where your draw time is like matching that of Hush. It's kind of nuts. And I mentioned in our other video about Whispering Slab and making sure you lock down Whispering Slab, but Arsenic Bite is still a great option, and again, it's present there in the energy slot. So fellas, those are the roll loot pool and like one from Iron Banner that I highly suggest locking down. Is there a lot of weapons that I left off this list? Yes. The reason why I left them off my list is because I feel like based on what I've seen, I'm going to replace them pretty quickly. Like the Ikelos SMG. Do I love that SMG? Yes. It's a great SMG, but it also just got a stat nerf, and we're getting a new SMG that can load out 3 different traits, one of them being Headstone. So I really do believe at some point all of these weapons will be replaced, but these were the weapons so far that have stuck out to me outside of the previous list that we gave that you may want to keep your eyes on. Now, as far as the seasonal weapons, again, I'm awaiting confirmation from Bungie on where exactly these guns are going. Well, fellas and ladies, thank you all for coming and watching, and as always,
slap that like button like your mama told you right.